Something just came out about Jalen Hurts, and it changes how you look at everything the Eagles are doing right now. And not everybody inside the building is saying the same thing. So let's get it mixing. What's up, Mafia? So let's start with what lit this thing up. So ESPN drops a piece written by Tim McManus, and it zeroes in on Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and where this offense is heading. And the tone? It wasn't praise, it was more pressure. The article highlights the disconnect that happened last season, especially what happened late last year. The article started where the Eagles' season ended, which would be the loss to the 49ers in the wildcard round, where the Eagles ran the infamous 4 verticals play, the play that crushed not only my hopes, but the fandom's heart as a whole. And it's revealed that Jalen Hurts called for that specific play. And we all know that this season wasn't perfect. You had stretches where the passing game stalled, AJ Brown's involvement dipped, and the offense started looking predictable. And this wasn't just fan talk. This was being discussed inside the locker room. But the biggest point of this article is that Jalen Hurts is being evaluated differently now. Not as the guy who just got paid a couple seasons ago, but the guy who had to elevate everything around him. Because when you look at the numbers, Hurts still produced. But the structure of the offense, that's where the real concern came in. And ESPN made it clear that this next version of the Philadelphia Eagles offense is going to put a lot more on him mentally and structurally. So when something like this drops, you sit back and you watch how the building responds. And both Nick Sirianni and Jeffrey Lurie did not ignore it. They addressed it, but not in the way that most people would have thought. Sirianni didn't come out defensive. He leaned into accountability. He made it clear that the offense had to be better as a whole, and that it all wasn't just on one player. That includes play design, rhythm, and situational execution. And that lines up with everything that we saw. Because last year, too many drives stalled for no reason. There were too many moments where things just stopped clicking. But he also admitted that Hurts is adamant about doing whatever he needs to do and make any changes that he needs to make to help this team be better, to evolve, and to win.
Jalen is a very talented player, and I think what you've seen is that he's been very effective. I think back to the Minnesota game this year where we had a lot of play action passes, and he has the perfect passer rating in that. Like, he's been very effective over the years, with play action passes and with the boot game and everything like that. But I think that, and again, there's things that are very unique to Jalen that we've done here that will be good too. And so, again, I just think that he's been very effective in the play action pass game, and he can, and this will help him continue to grow his game. And Jalen, one thing that you guys know about Jalen, that I know about Jalen, is that this dude works his butt off in anything that he needs to do, and he'll go any direction he needs to go. That's what you admire so much about him. He'll go any direction he needs to go to win football games and put the win over self or anything like that, and that's what you admire about him.
And then you get to Jeffrey Lurie. And this is where it matters, because Lurie didn't sound unsure. He sounded committed.
Jalen, there's no bigger fan of Jalen than me. Clutch gene, absolutely. The guy, MVP of the Super Bowl 13 months ago, should have been MVP of the Super Bowl right before that against Kansas City the first time. Exceptional and so dedicated. I think you probably know, spend a lot of time with Jalen, and he's, as I do with most quarterbacks, and incredibly dedicated to the game, to winning, and being a huge winner. And I love everything about him. So anyway, those things take over time. We never would discuss it. He's in the middle of a new contract now.
He backed Hurts 100%. But he also made it clear that this offense has to evolve. And that's the key. This wasn't just blind support. This was, yes, we believe in him. We've seen him do it again, but he has to grow. Because right after that, you start hearing about the new changes on offense. And that's no coincidence. And that's where Sean Mannion steps in. And this is the part the ESPN article actually builds upon. Because buried in all the criticism, there was a solution. The article made it clear this hire was to force change in the offense and to force change in Jalen Hurts. This is the guy being viewed as the guy who's going to push this offense to the next level. Then you get to hear his former coach, Matt LaFleur, and Jeffrey Lurie speak on Mannion, and they both didn't hold back on his latent potential.
Harder worker. I mean, the guy is phenomenal work ethic. I think he's got a great mind. Obviously, his experience as a player is going to be big time for him. Like I was joking with everybody else, he's got to learn how to deal with the Philadelphia media. So,
incredibly impressive is all I'm going to say. Work ethic, A+. Innovativeness and dynamicism, A+. We have a history of finding young gems on offense and defense, starting, back with Gruden, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, especially the hiring of Andy as a non-play caller, and it just has continued. Shane, whatever, Kellen, I'm incredibly excited of the staff that Nick and Sean put together.
LaFleur sang his praises, and Lurie, he tied Mannion to a history of the Eagles finding offensive minds. Mentioning names like Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Shane Steichen. That's the elite company that he put Mannion in. And then you get to the actual purpose of this new system, because one of the biggest points ESPN made was this. Hurts had continually pushed back about going under center. He preferred shotgun looks, being able to see the defense in front of him, and controlling all of the adjustments that needed to be made. And that's part of the reason why this offense got described as calcified in the article. So, what does Mannion do? He comes in with a system that doesn't allow that to stay the same. This offense is going to force Hurts to adapt, to learn, and to grow. And that's the shift. Not just the scheme, but accountability. Because if this works the way that they expect it to, then we're not getting the same vanilla offense that we saw all last year. You're getting one that demands evolution of the quarterback, which is exactly what the ESPN article was pointing at to begin with. Because while all this is happening, there's another layer to it. A.J. Brown's name keeps coming up, and rightfully so. Frustration, usage, and where he fits into all of this. And when Jeffrey Lurie was asked about it, he didn't avoid it. He didn't dodge it. He actually praised the room first. He said A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are great receivers. It was clear. It was direct. And then everything shifted.
We kept saying AJ's an Eagle, and he's definitely, I just will say this, Devontae and AJ, two great receivers and also great teammates. I just want to say that. These two are wonderful to have, and great teammates and great receivers. So he's an Eagle. We'll see what happens down the road. But
he said A.J. Brown is still on the team, and followed that up by saying, we'll see what happens down the road. And that last sentence right there is what really stood out. Because Lurie didn't sound like somebody who was setting things down. That statement sounded open. And that lines up with everything that was discussed in those reports. The idea that late last season, there were real conversations about involvement, targets, and how the passing game was being run. This wasn't just outside noise. This reached inside of the building. So when Lurie answered the question that way, it really does carry a lot of weight. It wasn't urgent, it wasn't dramatic, but it didn't feel like everything was locked in. And that's the layer that people are really paying attention to. Because paired with everything else that's happening with this offense, a system change and more things being placed on Jalen Hurts, not saying that something will happen, but definitely not saying that nothing will. And while all this offensive talk is happening, there's something else that quietly got admitted. Howie Roseman spoke about the roster, and he didn't dodge it. He admitted it. They dropped the ball on not bringing back Reed Blankenship, because right now at safety, it's a hole. And he made it clear this is a priority heading into the draft to grab a player that he can pair with Drew Makuba. Because Drew Makuba played well in his rookie season. Before his season-ending injury, he was showing strides of being a great safety. The instincts and the ability are there, and they expect for him to take a large step forward this season. But he talked about needing more stability on the back end, communication, range, and having guys who can actually hold up in coverage. Because when you look at what happened last year, there were too many breakdowns, too many explosive plays allowed, too many lapses in positioning, and too many moments where the back end didn't match what the front was doing. And that's why this matters, because this isn't about just replacing a player. This is about fixing a unit that didn't play up to standard. And he owned all of that. Straight up. So going into the draft, this isn't maybe we need a safety. This is something that they're actively looking to address early if the board falls right. And that should tell you everything. They're not guessing. They know exactly where they missed, and they plan on correcting that mistake. And this is where you see another move come in. Because the Eagles did make another signing. They bought in former Ravens linebacker Chandler Martin on a 2-year deal. And this one is easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. He's just 23 years old and flashed in camp with Baltimore last season. Earned time in a few games, but it was mainly special teams. But then he tore his ACL in week 13. So yeah, this isn't a finished product. This is a piece that needs development. But here's why this matters. Coming out of college, he had a strong tape. High motor, plays with physicality, and plays with great instinct. And there's already comparisons being made to Nakobe Dean in terms of play style. So, what does this move actually tell you? This isn't about immediate impact. It's about building depth, adding competition, and taking calculated risk on potential that's already there. Especially from a system like Baltimore, where the defense is built on discipline and physicality. So, when you zoom out and look at everything, they're addressing the hole at safety. They're adding to the front seven, and they're reshaping how this defense is built. And this fits right into their pattern. Not flashy, but intentional. So, when you step back and look at this all together, this isn't chaos. This is direction. The ESPN article didn't create a problem. It exposed problems that were already there and gave us a direction on where things need to go. You've got ownership backing Jalen Hurts, but expecting growth. A new offensive system designed to fix structure. A situation with A.J. Brown that's being handled with patience. And the front office already correcting mistakes that they made on defense. This is not a team that's guessing. This is a team that's adjusting. Now, the real question isn't if things are changing. It's how quickly all this will come together. Because if it does, this team is going to look completely different. And if it doesn't, the conversation around Hurts is only going to get louder. And if you made it this far, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss anything. And drop your thoughts in the comment section, because I already know that this is going to split some people. And once again, I've been Brother Shy, and this has been the Midnight Green Mafia.